Well, joining me now to discuss this is the host of the Michael Savage podcast, Dr. Michael Savage. Thank you, sir, for joining us as always on a Saturday night. A lot of folks, including Donald Trump, Dr. Savage, calling this a witch hunt this week. Is this a witch hunt?
It's more than a witch hunt. Mike, thanks for having me on this great show every Saturday. There are so many elements that need to be looked at. The number one issue is this raid is not about a man, it's about a nation. They raped the nation. They raped half the nation with this raid. It was unnecessary. They have dragged us into the dark ages, not only depriving Donald Trump of property rights, but the search warrant did not contain probable cause. It was not in there. So they violated his Fourth Amendment rights, Mike, which they would afford a drug dealer from the Dominican Republic with a trunk full of cocaine, but they did not afford it to the president, former president of the United States. There's a very big story. I'll never forget this one. Back 10, 15 years ago, Bronx, undercover New York cops. They see who they thought were these dealers they were watching, and they see them show up 4 in the morning, and the trunk of their car is low to the ground. They figure it's loaded with drugs. They raid the car. They find 30 kilograms, I don't know, 40, 60, 80, 100 pounds of coke in the trunk, right? A crackpot left-wing judge throws the arrest out, saying that they violated the Fourth Amendment rights of the Dominican drug dealers. Listen to this is what goes on in this country with liberal lawyers. They defend drug dealers, but they now sit here applauding the invasion of Donald Trump's private home. Now, most of the commentary I am hearing can be called puerile, P-U-E-R-I-L-E, boyish, childish. I have never seen liberals cheering so much for fascism as I am seeing now. If we look at the case in detail, we can find so many irregularities, Mike. And all it's done is take people who were on the fence for Trump, and I know a few of them who were losing interest in him, saying, you know, I'd rather see DeSantis run, or he's had his time, he's too divisive. They've all said, I'm voting for Trump. This has coalesced people behind Donald Trump. They've just catapulted him into the Oval Office. I fear more that they'll assassinate him than I do arrest him. I've never seen it like this in my entire life. You look at the judge. You keep hearing the judge, the federal judge. He was a low-level magistrate judge, Mike. And a magistrate judge, as I wrote, is to judges what military law is to law. He's not really a federal judge. He's a clerk in a federal courthouse. He also had a shady connection to the Epstein case. This is a nightmare for America, not just for Donald Trump. Yeah, Forget about the fact that Trump himself last night said that these documents could be declassified by him. Grassley went further. Senator Chuck Grassley, very important man. He cited the investigation into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's, quote, mishandling of highly classified information, unquote. But there are hysterics in the media who are now saying this is espionage and Trump could face the death penalty. I cannot believe what I'm actually reading. This is how crazy this, quote, witch hunt has become. People have become totally insane. They're comparing him to the 1950s espionage? When have you last heard this, Mike? This is insanity. It's divided the nation even further. And all they want to do is nullify Trump from running because they know he'll win in a landslide, and they've just guaranteed that he will.
It certainly seems like that, Dr. Savage. That judge you mentioned also donated $2,000 to Barack Obama's campaign 14 years ago. I want to pivot, though, to the attack against acclaimed author Salman Rushdie yesterday in New York. Bill Maher had this interesting angle on his program last night. Watch this.
So don't come at me with Islamophobic. Phobic means fear, right? Well, Sal had a good reason to be fearful. Sorry, but, you know, these things don't go away. Islam is still a much more fundamentalist religion than any of the other religions in the world. And that means they take what's in the holy book seriously. And that has been dangerous for a long time. It's still dangerous.
We as a society, Dr. Savage, are still afraid to call out Muslim extremism. Why is that?
Ask the Israelis. Because Muslim extremists don't remember for 10 years. They remember for 1,000 years. They're living in the dark ages. There are names for them, Islamofascists. You can't say the word, but the fact is they're following their holy book. And this guy is not alone. The fact is anyone who criticizes anything done by any of the extremists in the name of their religion is now a target. Well, there are many Muslims who are criticizing fundamentalist Islam. They've been targets as well. So it's only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time until this happened. We have all forgotten the dangers of radical Islam. I wrote about it in book after book after book. And I quoted Muslims themselves who were trying to warn us about letting our guard down against radical fundamentalist Islamists. We all forgot it, though. Obama made anyone who said it a racist. Then anyone who said anything about it today was called an extremist or a right-wing extremist. This poor guy, Rushdie, may not survive it. He's 75 years old. He was stabbed in the liver and the neck. He's losing an eye. That's what we hear now. I don't know a 75-year-old man who can survive what just happened to him. In essence, this man killed him. Even if he survives, he will not be able to do speeches anymore because his inner chi energy is gone, in plain English. So it's not about Islam. I want to be very clear. I've studied this for over 30 years. There are many modern Muslims who condemn radical Islam, and they themselves have been targeted, and they're mainly women Muslims, by the way, modern women who do not want to be kept like slaves in a religion that's based on something that is thousands of years old. So this is only the beginning of a new wave of terrorism, in my opinion. And of course, the FBI is not looking at radical Islamists anymore. They're looking at people at school board meetings who stand up to degenerates and perverts.
And Michael, we have just about 30 seconds left. We just talked to Ambassador John Bolton about the growing threat of Iran and their nuclear capabilities. Iran even threatening to bomb New York City over a week ago. How concerned are you with the growing threat from Iran?
It's way out of my league. That's a problem for Israel, not for me. It's not a single man's issue. Israel is facing annihilation from Iran. You may say, well, if Israel has nuclear weapons, why can't Iran? Because Israel's not threatening to wipe Iran off the planet simply for existing, while Iran is threatening to eliminate Israel and eliminate it from the map of the earth should they get a nuclear weapon. Therefore, they're facing, Israel is facing an existential threat. And my opinion is they're going to take Iran's nuclear facilities out if they still can. And I don't know that they can.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Savage. We have to leave it there. I appreciate your time.